Welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel, to none other than the XRP Army. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Sunday wherever you are around the world. Obviously, we're still in a weekend. We need to keep that factor in mind, which a lot of people tend to forget. And what kind of implications can come with the weekend in terms of a market reaction. So obviously CME futures are closed over the weekend, and that does tend to cause more manipulation than usual. But take a look at this. Bitcoin has closed above $100,000 every day since the 8th of May. That's 95 daily closes above $100,000. Go back in time, people never even imagined the price of Bitcoin to reach these prices, and here we are, 95 consecutive days. Huge stuff, and people yet tend to not look at this. But your boy Crypto ZX is going to continue to remind you guys how important this really is. But looking across the board right now, we're seeing a little bit of a retracement, as far as the broader market is concerned. Over the last 1 hour, a little bit of a bounce for the broader market, but majority of the coins are still down over the course of the last 24 hours, which again is not a surprise if you did end up watching my update last night. But the price of XRP at $3.18 as of recording this update, also down 4% in Bitcoin comparative, valuation at $188.6 billion. So the valuation has gone down a little bit compared to our last update. And the 24-hour trading volume at about $4.8 billion. But as always, just a quick disclaimer, anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. So once again, another crypto-based company going public. So White Fiber to raise $159.4 million in its IPO. It's set to trade as WYFI on NASDAQ Capital Markets. Their parent company, Bit Capital, still holds 77.6% of that White Fiber, which again is crazy, but you can really start to see what we've been discussing, how these companies are going to leverage the hype right now. As they know, there's a lot of hype for these IPOs, but at the end of the day, I've been quite clear, not all of these companies are going to thrive. Maybe the boom will have a positive impact on their stock price, but long term, only a few, the ones that are building, the ones that are actually going global, taking the crypto infrastructure globally, are the ones that are going to be here to stay and shine, of course. And of course it will kind of reflect on their stock price. But here's another example right in front of us, and take a look at this. This is what I wanted to talk to you guys about and share my personal thoughts with you, because you guys know your boy Crypto ZX keeps it 100% realistic. And here we have we're in a bull market. According to Morgan Stanley CIO, says the 3-year rolling recession ended in April after a brutal final capitulation, now calling it the first start of a fresh bull run. We are officially in raging bull cycle. So according to Morgan Stanley CIO, the bull market starts now because, before we were in a recession, which ended in April after, the tariff situation came up. But what are my personal thoughts on this? Of course, because if you're looking at the historic price pattern for the crypto markets, the historic price pattern sometime Q3, which we're obviously in already, like going into Q3, maybe end of Q3 or sometime in Q4, should be the top of the market for crypto. And no one really knows, of course, in terms of the timing exactly. No one can time the top, but based off of what we have seen in the past, usually it is around that specific time, Q4, or maybe the beginning of next year, 2026 January. We have seen in the past 2018 cycle was a top around that price point, as well as, of course, if you look at the 2021 cycle, we could say Q4 of 2021 was the rough top around there as well. So could that happen this time? Regardless of what Morgan Stanley CIO is saying, if I was in terms of a taking profit mindset, let's say you are, okay, so there's two ways to look at this, and I continuously want you guys to not forget this. If you are on the side of, you do want to lock in profits and you don't want to miss your chance, then what if I were you, what I would be doing, of course, not financial advice. At the end of the day, you guys do what works for you. I would kind of take a look at based off the historic price pattern. Yes, you see a lot of people coming out and say, we're in a super cycle, this and that, yada, yada, yada. But if you don't want to take a chance of a massive, pullback, which even tends to happen regardless of if there is a super cycle or not. You want to maximize your chance of locking in profits, because if you don't, let's say we do see the market boom, which of course it's already starting to do. I want you guys to keep that in mind. Market is already starting to heat up. Bitcoin dominance is falling at record paces right now, something we haven't seen since the beginning of the year. And on top of that, you are seeing potentially a rate cut next month. And of course, if ETFs go live as well, I think that could be a really major triggering impact, unless, of course, Donald Trump comes in and announces more incentives. But until then, if you talk about only a few coins that are going to be, if you talk about that the entire market is no longer in that 4-year cycle, I'm very confident that that's not the case. Still, 99% of the coins are still going to be impacted by that 4-year cycle. So lock those profits in when you see that opportunity, because if you don't, let's say, if you don't take in profits, do you think someone else that is another holder is going to be waiting for you? Absolutely not. And remember, that can cause a snowball effect. If a bunch of big whales really start, taking profits, that causes a snowball effect. And of course, the price can go down. I'm sorry I'm going on a big rant, but that is something that people kind of get, our way of thinking can kind of get the best of us, because of course, we can get greedy, but you don't want to be getting greedy in times, especially if you want to lock in profits. But with that said, if you are in it for the long haul, you don't really care, you don't care about the prices plummeting, you're still looking at the long-term horizon, then of course, patience is your number one key to follow. So pretty much what I'm personally thinking is that I still think, even though people are saying that, we are starting a new wave towards the upside, historically speaking, sometime this year is still the top for the market. So take a look at this. Smoke says, Uncover, posted this, in replying to Smoke. It says, have you looked into Metal, Proton, and XPR? Wondering if you have any insight, as I find it very, peculiar that major influencers who were once all in and endorsing XRP to just abandon it right at the key point when the lawsuit ends and then start pushing these things. Look what Smoke says, a very, very nice response back. Retail investors chase narratives. What I said 1,000 times on my channel. Look at the meme coin market, for example. And, with the way social media goes, a lot of, viral videos going, people posting their P&Ls. Sometimes those P&Ls are accurate. I'm not saying all times they're wrong, but people always, show the positive side of, the meme coin market, but no one knows at the, negative side of it, because 99% of the meme coins go to zero. 99, get rug pulled. Only a few thrive. So, but retail wants that instant gratification, overnight success, and let's say retail. I'm just basing it off of what I have read in the past. Let's say you had some money that you wanted to obviously invest into crypto, and that was the only money that you were able to afford to invest, and you put it into meme coins, and those meme coins are gone zero. Now you don't even have that money anymore, and there's a lot of stories out there for retail investors that actually FOMO'd into memes and lost their money, and now they have no money to get into solid projects, and those solid projects are actually thriving up. Patience is your number one key to follow, and look what Smoke says, institutions embrace proven utility. Crazy to think about, right? And moving forward, look at what Phil says. The very impressive growth of the XRPL ledger, fastest increase in the real-world asset compared to any other blockchain, driven by Ripple's RLUSD. And this is just the beginning. What we're working on, Easy Labs will send this skyrocketing. Very interesting here. And real-world assets. Remember the XRPL ledger. If you are surprised at this, remember XRPL ledger is that one-stop shop. So you don't really want to be getting overly shocked at the fact that we are seeing an increase on the blockchain for RWAs. But XRP Sunday, shout out to Chad for obviously posting the XRP spot data analysis. The volume is still not as high as we have seen in the past, but of course we are in a weekend. We need to keep that factor in mind. But if you're looking at the dominance here, dominance still having a hard time breaking out, and the July lows are still playing as a resistance, and again should really give you a better understanding as to how important that range really is. If you're looking at the price of Bitcoin, on the other hand, Bitcoin's actually pushing towards the upside. Bitcoin's about to close the daily candle above $119,000, which is crazy to think about. But dominance still not, let's actually give dominance a refresh live. Maybe we're behind. No, 60.47% it is. And the dominance still not rising as you would expect it to do so. So very, very interesting stuff happening here. XRP, on the other hand, currently sitting at $3.17. Of course, significant amount of support around this range, but we're still above the $3 key range. And I do still project that we will break out of this key range this upcoming week based off of what we're seeing with BTC. But you want to see the dominance pulling down below 60%, which we have already done. And I do believe we're going to see that happen again. Let me know down below what you guys think. If you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? We'll see you later in Crypto ZX, and peace out.